Greetings loyal subscribers and honoured guests. Welcome back to the A-Z of Amiga, where today we are moving on to the letter B and another shoot 'em up by the name of Banshee. Unlike Agony though, this one is a vertical shooter that takes more than a bit of inspiration from Capcom's classic arcade blaster 1942. The game was published by Core Design in 1994, so it was a very late release for the machine, and it also appeared on the CD32 console. It also requires an AGA system in order to run, but of course the benefit of that is that it has greatly enhanced graphics, but more on that later. As always, we'll start off with a little bit of history before getting on with my personal opinion of the game and what the magazine reviewers of the time thought about it. By the time Banshee came along, Core Design were already pretty well known to most Amiga players, thanks to games like Chuck Rock and Rick Dangerous. The main team hailed from the United Kingdom. However, Banshee was actually developed elsewhere, in Denmark to be precise. The three chaps who worked on the game, Soren Hannibal, Jacob Anderson and Martin Iverson, all had history with the popular and lively Amiga demo scene with the group 11 Point. Banshee would be their first commercial game, and as such it is very impressive to see what they came up with. Many of their demos from Lemon Point can be watched right here on YouTube, so I recommend that you spend some time checking them out. So there's a little bit of background for you. Sorry there's not as much as there was for Agony, I couldn't find as much information this time. Let's move on to the game itself. Banshee is a classic vertically scrolling shooter set in an alternative history where high-tech gadgets and weaponry were never developed, hence the reason why you pilot an old-fashioned fighter plane. The world has been invaded by evil aliens from the Styxian Empire, and it's up to you to destroy their facilities before wiping out their leader once and for all. The game is spread over 4 vast levels which see you travel over seas, through snowy wastes and desert areas, as well as towns and military bases. The game can be played by 1 or 2 players simultaneously, and I really recommend taking a friend along with you, because not only is it more fun, it will increase your chance of survival too. There are 3 different difficulty levels that you can choose from, and even easy mode is no pushover on the later stages, though you will need to beat the game on normal to even see a proper ending. Your plane is equipped with a limited stock of loops, which, much like the 1942 series, will make you temporarily invulnerable and allow you to do damage to enemies by ramming into them. Certain enemies will drop items such as additional loops, health packs, extra lives and score. There are also many different power-ups, including ones that increase your rate of fire, your damage, various types of spread shots, heat-seeking missiles, normal straight shooting missiles and grenades. You will be going up against both air and land targets, not to mention boats and submarines during the sea sections as well. The graphics in Banshee really are fantastic, with a cartoony style not dissimilar from something by the Bitmap brothers. The Chaos engine was apparently another major influence on the artist. There is a ton of detail and character crammed into each stage, with lots of different enemy types and loads of little soldiers running around. You can usually kill these little blighters in grisly yet oh so satisfying ways, such as blowing them to pieces or exploding the jeep that they are travelling in, which sets them all on fire and scrambling around in multiple directions. Other than a moody tune on the title screen when the game boots up, there is no music to speak of during the actual levels. The sound effects are all well done though, with some nicely punchy gunshots, propeller sounds and various little screams when you maim and kill the little people. So before I say what I thought of the gameplay and give my overall score, it's time once again to see what the magazines of the day thought of Banshee. There are 12 different review scores archived on Amiga Magazine Rack, and all of them are extremely high, with the lowest being a respectable 83% and the highest being 92%. CU Amiga said, "The game looks fantastic, and considering it's A1200 only, so it should. The one said they'll be talking about Banshee for years to come, and finally Amiga Power said Banshee's just a good, honest, rip-roaring, barnstorming powerhouse of a blast 'em up, which is all it ever tries to be. I do agree with these statements. My only criticism of the game is that the levels are incredibly long, to the point where the player will start to wonder if they ever going to end. Personally, I would have chopped them all in half so you have 8 shorter levels instead of 4 huge ones that start to outstay their welcome ever so slightly. Other than that, Banshee is every bit the quality arcade-style shooter that most reviewers said it was. It's a great demonstration of exactly what a powered-up Amiga system can do, and a game I recommend everyone try out. Those who were still actively playing the Amiga games back at the time of its release will most certainly have heard of it before, but I bet there are a lot of people who haven't. I certainly hadn't until recently. So do yourself a favour and try it. As for a score, I'm going to give it an 8 because the high difficulty and overlong levels do detract from the experience ever so slightly for me. That brings us to the end of another episode. Don't forget that I'm still accepting suggestions for games that I could look at later in the series. Join me again for the letter C in a few weeks' time, and in the meantime, take care.